Hi guys, this is extremewirehead, and let's take a look at this indie game from Digipen Studios. A very cool studio that deals with games, and it's a perspective, and I would say it is an orthographic game. So here's the basic premise. You see the orange wall kills you, so you can't touch the edges. You're trying to get to the goal, which is that thing there. Obviously, you can jump and yeah, I can. You are only able to stand on blue things. Now, from here, it's quite simple, but then things get really weird. Like really weird. Now you saw that the third perspective actually could change things, and the moment they tell you that, they do this. I have no idea. Okay, so the basic premise is you're some kind of third person who's helping this little guy to progress, and this little guy can only be moved in 2D, but you yourself can change the perspective in a 3D motion. So as you can see, normally since he walks along the walls, he can't get past because it's too far. But then since your perspective changes his actual world, you can actually change his world to make the impossible possible for you. Possible for him, I mean. So here's the cube where there's a cube in the middle. You can't really do anything special with it. But as you can see, even if the floor doesn't actually exist below him, if you give him the right perspective, he has a wall all the way to the goal, which is quite interesting. It's a the 3D world around you has an effect on him depending on your perspective. So it's basically just running around figuring out puzzles. And I have to hand it to the guys at Digipen. Whoever made this game, he's a genius. He created something that's quite interesting. As you can see, I die whenever I touch the orange dots, but if I plan it out so that the orange does not exist in my frame of reference, then it doesn't matter because I can just cross right over it, and the blue will just defend me against the orange, which is it's quite an interesting way to do things. So like here, that blue line does not exist in that frame of reference, so it's okay. And then what about here, where there's a long corridor? Normally, you would think you just need to walk along it, but in reality, distances don't exist in 2D. This real distances in 3D have no bearing in 3D, which is quite an important concept to get over your head early on because that's the basis of it. So here's another one where in 2D those two planes exist as one, and it's called the level is called isolation chamber because you actually stuff him into the room, the isolation chamber, and then come out the other end to try and get him back out, which is important because you have to realize that whenever you do anything in 2D, it changes where he ends up in 3D, and he could end up in the sense in a totally different world just because you changed the 3D of it. Now here, there's an orange line, and I've already done this, so I know, but you have to hide all orange lines, and it wasn't so hard once I saw that. It's if you don't see it, it doesn't exist. Much like that paid game, which is Closure, which is also a pretty interesting game, and I suggest that you have a look on that too. So let's take a look. It's Wallflower, where your little guy basically acts as the wallflower, and you're trying to move him around. I'm failing really hard here. You're trying to move him around and trying to see how you can get him across, whilst not basically just taking advantage of the walls, because that's what's important here. You have to take advantage of where the walls exist, how to protect him by using the tables in your perspective. It's quite an interesting game. It may hurt some people's heads. Later down, the later levels I've seen have shown that you have to get really creative. It's not a very long game. I would say that it is kind of artsy. It does involve quite a bit of thinking, and it's also quite the experience. You learn quite a bit about how this world operates because of all the time you have to spend thinking through all these new perspectives, and it's I would say that it's pretty good, and I actually, after playing through the whole thing, can say for certain that I would have paid for it. It was that good, and I hope that whoever did this in Digital Pen can keep up the good work, because uh this one just shows you how great a world you could end up having just because of the 3D. In any case, I think I'm getting called, and I'm gonna enjoy some more of this game and see what it's like. In any case, this is Extreme Wirehead, and enjoy a little bit of perspective in your life, and try to solve the world in a new perspective.